Hello, I'm John Hill, Media Director for the Detroit City Council Media Services Division. And I want to thank you for taking this time out to join us for What Makes You So Successful. This show, what we do is talk to people who are in the community who have made it to and rise to success. From your, hopefully, President Barack Obama's, to your Dan Gilberts, to your barbershop owners. People who have went through trials and tribulations and rise above those obstacles that have come in their way and how they did it. So we in Detroit can become a land and a people of entrepreneurs once again. Today on the show we have Dr. PrincessOdilia. And she is a motivational speaker. She's a television celebrity, TV host. She's a radio personality. She's an inspirational leader. She also deals with helping people through all sorts of turmoil and trauma in bouts with depression to rising to success and feeling good about themselves once again. PrincessOdilia, I want to thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, I was so impressed. We've just met about a week ago.
Yes.
And when you started talking, I started listening. And what we really need in Detroit is, and one of the things that we need in Detroit is people who have, like I say, the heart to serve and the heart to help people. And yes, you shared some things with me that I had no idea about. I've known people to go through depression, and in some ways I've went through some bouts of depression myself, never to the levels that you told me about, which really interested me. I also was impressed of the fact that that you not only lead, but you teach, that you work with some greats as far as motivational speakers like Les Brown, your journalism and television background, and also the fact that you have a degree, and many degrees, but your doctorate is a degree that I still am not going to try to pronounce right now. So I knew you must be smart because the degree I couldn't pronounce. But if you tell me, what that degree, now what is it again?
It's metaphysical parapsychology.
Okay, and what is that all about, first of all, if we can just...
Metaphysics is literally the science of spirit, if you would. And in metaphysics, the misconception is that we don't reference God in any way, and actually it's the basis. But what we study in metaphysics is the realm of our essence, which is the spirit. We believe that, and I often say this, that the spirit is that is who we are, what we are, and we're having a human experience. Right. So it's interesting, as you spoke about depression and things of that nature, when we try to externalize the remedy for depression and stress, it would coincide with the conclusion. Thus, there's not usually there's not healing when you are using medications, etc., because it's not addressing the spirit. Yeah, so that's the science and that's the study.
You know, and that's really impressive because you brought up some things. One thing that I was impressed with so many things you said, but when you go to heal people from depression or other things, two things you told me. One thing is that we first think of the problem or the disease. Most times the disease comes from thought in our mind, and then it is materialized through the body. And the other thing is that we can heal ourselves without medication, which the medical industry tells you the exact difference. And you have healed people and worked with people to bring them back to their essence, if you will. This is what you do with no medication. So how does that work? Because people are so medicated. Medication doesn't stop the problem. Medication just puts it off.
I was just talking the other day, when we're talking about medications, depression and stress, actual physical ailments, as I'm a licensed practitioner in physical and mental ailments. It's interesting, the dynamic of us. According to scientists and years of study, it has been concluded that at least 70% of elements start first in the mind, and it was a thought that was contemplated on. And when we think about depression and stress, people will say, well, I can't control my thoughts. I have nothing to do with what comes to my mind. But you can exercise your mind to not even pay attention to those thoughts, and those thoughts go away, those thoughts that shouldn't be there. I was sharing on the radio show the other day, last week actually, last Friday, we were talking about depression and stress, and I said a lot of children, for example, that are being diagnosed with ADD.
Right.
And adults are being diagnosed with ADD. And as life continues to speed up and the foods that we ingest are not conducive for our physical bodies, then there are things that take place such as ADD, just the inability, or what seems as though you have the complete inability to focus. And one of the signs there, when you have an inability to focus, people really get antsy, and it brings about anxiousness. And then when you're anxious about what you couldn't get done, then you feel depressed.
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
after you're depressed, now you go to the doctor. And when you go to the doctor, you get drugged up.
Right.
Now you're completely
out of whack.
I mean, you're completely out of whack.
Yeah.
And walking around like zombie. And that's, unfortunately, that's been the situation with our communities, with our individuals, with our children, really suffering from depression as a result of them not being able to focus because they are not in a stable environment, or it seems as though even within themselves there are things that are unanswered, and us adults are not listening subconsciously, right? I'd like to say that it's just because we don't know as a majority how to deal with our own life, let alone to help our children come through their experiences of that need resolution. It's very difficult.
Right, because if you don't know better, then you can't teach better. It's what you know. And what would you say, just on that point, that would be a solution or a good starting point for somebody who may be getting ready to go through depression, or may know somebody that's starting to go depression, before you go to that point, when you know you're feeling not right, or you know, because your depression could happen literally overnight, but what could somebody do to kind of change the dynamics of their thinking? What would you suggest?
It's very important for us to understand this. I'll give you an example of a client that I had that actually went into a very serious bout of depression. And the depression was this: they could not see to the point they could not see what you were talking about. They could not see their hands, and they said, I don't see myself.
That's crazy. And that's interesting, because I don't see myself speaks mainly to all of us. I mean, I didn't think about that till you just said it just now, but we don't see ourselves. That's just a severe form of not seeing yourselves, but we don't see the beauty inside of us.
Exactly. So, and he was completely, had gone south. I was able to bring him back to a natural state, him understanding where he was, and also addressing the issue that took him there, the fact that he had ignored some things in his life and he just wasn't paying attention, so that it would not just become deep-rooted within him. It was easy for that to, not necessarily easy because it took about almost 2 hours, but it happened without medication.
Right.
That was possible because he had already started coming to me. We were already talking about how to exercise the mind positively. So when you ask the question, how do you do that? It starts first with the desire first.
Okay.
And I always invite people to this. For example, if there's something that you're dealing with in your life, okay? And maybe sometimes people don't even know why they're depressed, okay?
Right.
So what do you do for a person like that? The first thing I'm going to invite them to do is to affirm to themselves out loud, because of the power of words, that I am happy. Help them to realize that you are happiness. Our issue with happy and being happy, the whole energy of happiness, is that we believe that we get happiness from somebody else, or something makes us happy, or some group
Right.
or organization makes us happy. This person makes me happy.
Right.
And because we externalize that whole idea, that's the energy that comes back to us.
You know, it's interesting that you say that too, and that's the first point that you were saying. That my parents, a long time ago, started me reading books of motivation and success stories and things like that. One book that I'm reading recently is called 10 Days to Self-Discipline. And it talks about the inner conversations that we have in our head. The problem with those inner conversations is that we don't know they're going on. So we have to take control, and it sounds like that's some of what you're saying, and tell ourselves, I mean, as crazy as this sounds, but it sounds so crazy that Muhammad Ali became the champion of the world doing it. And my father used to always say, look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm the greatest, and you have to believe it. And it doesn't mean to be, think you're better than anybody else, but it's just to be the person that God made you. So
I always say to people, stop patronizing God unless you're going to accept the responsibility of all that you are.
Yeah.
And all that you are is so very
powerful
powerful.
statement.
It's just so powerful. You know, so when we talk about, I am happy, whatever we say, the power, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
It's in the Bible.
Okay, so I mean, let's
Yeah.
not patronize the whole idea.
Yeah.
Then let's do that. Let's be that. I am happy. And then what I always invite people to do, and sometimes it depends on the severity, but in most cases this works immediately, and that is creating a vision of what you think. What is the greatest, the grandest idea that you have that would make you happy? And sometimes people think, I've heard this, I'm happy already, I'm happy already. I say, are you happy doing what you're doing now because you're really happy doing what you're doing, or are you happy because that's just what you ended up doing and
Right.
you just learned how to be happy?
Right.
But when you look back over your life, is that really what you want to do, or are you in that place? So I invite people
That's
to
cool.
go beyond in their thinking, and let's think for a moment. That's what we don't do. Everything's microwave.
Right.
Let's just think, and think about that place, that thing, the presence, and then go there in your mind. Take an opportunity to embrace that energy. When you close your mind, when you close your eyes and you allow yourself to think and be quiet, there's so much power in that experience.
All right. Yeah, that's
And
important.
healing.
Yeah, and all
It's
the
so healing.
all the noise that goes on in the background that
Absolutely.
we don't hear, and just the chatter and the talk. Yeah. And
And I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but you
not
know
at
what they
all.
say when they're praying, right? And they say, I prayed, I prayed, I prayed. I say, yeah, but you sat there, you said, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. You can't even hear God. I mean,
Right.
I'm like,
You need
just
to be-
pray and be quiet.
and listen.
And
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, don't talk so much.
Be
But
quiet.
yeah, listen. And it's funny, something else that you were just saying about the noise level and being quiet. Do you suggest that people go off in a room maybe that they can just, or what do you suggest that they can do to get to that quiet place?
It's, you know, going to a room is wonderful, absolutely. You want to be in a space where you can really just release and be present. Because mind you, this here is literally formed dirt.
Right. Ashes to
I mean, come
ashes
on,
and
you
dust
know.
to dust.
All right, so with that in mind, what should we really be focusing on building?
Yeah.
Our spirit, right?
Yeah.
So since we're talking about that and really embracing the spirit, which is the power of us, it's good to be in a centered place, quiet. And sometimes once you do that so often, there will come this strength and courage where you will be able to
Yeah.
just breathe
Exhale.
and be present. You can do it now.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
just
Yeah, sometimes I do.
and
it.
breathe that. And when
Yeah.
you do it, it's like you escape, and it's like your body feels
Right.
different too, responds differently. So I always invite people every day to get your to-do list. See what life has for you that day before you get on the phone and do things like that.
And that was something else. And I want to take a break here, and we'll come back to talk more about some of the things that you're doing. I know that you recently took a trip to Africa, and
Yes.
you told me about that experience, and I'd like you to share that with our audience, because it was just so impressive about the attitude of the citizens and what you thought it would be and what it actually was.
Absolutely.
And I was impressed the other day when you were writing out the schedule to come here, and we all go to our cell phones, but there's something in the power of writing things down and in setting your goals and writing them, not just thinking them or typing them in, but actually writing them. And also what you just said about, are you really happy about what you're going to do? Because I'm in a landmark class now, and they were talking about, one session came out about making it. And what is making it? And people are happy when they make it, but making it isn't good enough. Making it is just making it. You have to really do what your desire is and be great and extraordinary at it. Because if you just make it, that's just kind of, oh, I made it. I made it. I made it.
That's another thing I'd love to elaborate on very briefly when we return.
Well, let's do that. Let's come back to that.
Absolutely.
And then we'll talk about
Africa. Talk about Africa. We have to do both of those.
Yeah, okay, that'll work. So we'll be right back after these messages. I don't think I have to say, but I'm going to say please stay tuned, because we have some great things coming up that you don't want to miss. Some things about our brothers and sisters in Africa, and how, I guess the right word to say, empowered that they are in their spirit and just naturally. And we'll be talking about making it with Dr. PrincessOdilia. And yeah, hey. Be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.
It's all fun and games until someone loses a life. Words have consequences. Think before you speak.
Thanks for staying with us. We're here on What Makes You So Successful with Dr. PrincessOdilia. Dr. PrincessOdilia, I just want to say again, I'm enlightened. I know we have a lot more to talk about, but we were talking about this thing, just making it. And what is your version, or what do you hear when you hear just making it? Just making it in the journey, if you will.
Just making it in the journey. Just making it. See, when I think people settle. When you said that, I just got like a whole energy of just settling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just barely making it.
I'm making it. Yeah,
I'm just making it.
Yeah. They made it, turned around the thing like, I'm making it, I'm making it. You know, I don't remember a song in the 70s, but they had a whole song. But just making it isn't good enough.
That's not good enough, because, again, when we realize what we are in this whole life's experience, we really come to a greater desire to go and to the limits beyond. And that is the plan. That's what we're supposed to do, is to go to the limits beyond. That's the whole reason that our souls even chose to come and to exist as it does. This is something that and this is something you don't know yet. We'll have to talk about that another time. We don't have all day.
Right,
but I will tell you this. Not too long ago, I was in a homeless shelter with my daughter.
Wow.
Okay? And I was in the journey, the last go-round. I was in the journey, had been in the journey for about 3 years. Our life, and just so that you know,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What is the journey?
Say, what is the journey? You look
much
older than 3.
Right.
So the journey, a lot of times people define it as, oh, it's just life. But in life, there are several journeys. I call them spiritual pregnancies that we go through in our life, okay? It's like picking up from one point A to go to point B. We do that several times in our life if we so allow for the growth to take place in our life. I mean, it just happens. Thus where people say, well, I've already been through this, or I've already been through that, and they fight the process of the journey, the process of life.
And sometimes you got to go through the journey. By you saying that, you might have to go through the journey a number of times till you get it right.
Well, not even necessarily get it right. As you evolve into the greater truth of you and closer to your life's true purpose. And I want to stay on focus of where I'm going to go with this.
Okay. In
the journey, that experience that I had, my daughter at the time, she was 15, and she said to me, she said, Mom, she said, I know we've been here for a while. She said, but I want to be out. And it had been a few months. She said, but I'm okay with just being right now. She said, the experiences that have happened, the things that I've learned, I will forever be so grateful for this. And she said to me, she said, because I know the vision's coming to pass. I know that. So I might as well just be here, right? You know, be.
Absolutely, just
learn how to just be.
And that's a 15-year-old child.
15. Now, mind you, in this experience of the journey and just making it, I chose with my children to go the path that I was guided to go. Mm-hmm. Some would say, you weren't guided to go to no homeless shelter. Because if you was guided to go down, God ain't going to do that to you.
Right,
you know?
right.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah,
God not going to do that to you.
Yeah, they need to read the Bible and see all the challenges that people went through.
Well, see, you know, and then people will have an excuse for that. But how about to consider this? When you're on a journey, if I set to go from here to Texas, mm-hmm. I'm going to pack my bags, right?
Right.
I'm going to pack my bags, get it all together and ready to go. And I don't even have to give it thought. I know that as a result of me going on the road that I'm going to see a diversity of weather, most likely. To not see it would be very unlikely. I know that on that journey, I'm going to have rest stops that I will cross. I'm also going to possibly have construction zone areas, and there will be different I would be rerouted into other directions. And I may look down one road, and because my map said that I was supposed to go down there, this physical map that I'm holding, mm-hmm. No, that's what it says, I'm supposed to go here. Well, guess what? Right there, the reality is you can't go there because there's a construction zone. So now they're going to tell you to go down here. But that road's muddy. Mm-hmm. You know what most people would do? Now this is in the intangible experience of journey. I'm not going down there. Mm-hmm. I want to go down a nice road over here. This is the road I'm supposed to go down and then try to push through the gate. Instead of saying, well, that's a little mud, that's all right, but it's going to get me where I have to go.
Right.
There comes a time in our life, in the journey, where people settle to just making it because they don't want to go down the muddy road.
Right, right.
And they will assume, because it wasn't so smoothly paved, it was the wrong road.
Right.
That's not life. And that's thus why so many people are stagnated. They aren't going through the journey because they're scared of it.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this in saying that I want to go to about your trip to Africa and the pride that was inherent in the people and the children of Africa. But I don't want to take us away. We're going to go right into that. But my father used to have a saying, or my grandmother, your family, I've heard it over and over again, but everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to go, you know, through the hard road, if you will, to get there. So, but your experience in Africa, okay, you just recently came back. What took you down there?
What took me down there is the Global World Peace True Purpose movement that my organization, Bountiful Opportunities Group, founded in 2010, actually in Detroit.
Oh.
We marched.
This is the place to do it.
Absolutely. I was actually homeless then.
Wow.
No one knew.
Yeah.
And I marched along with some others for all day, from 8 in the morning to 10 p.m., saying, transformation it is so, and trying to inspire. And I did. I had a great time.
Yeah, yeah.
Inspire people and everything, and I kept moving in this journey because, you know, sometimes when the road is blocked, I don't care what you do, it's for you to do, you know, to stay, to be still, or whatever it is. So anyhow, in this experience that of traveling the journey, and I just forgot exactly what you said. You could have tell me.
What
oh yeah. So we were talking about the movement. So that movement was started here, and as a result of that, in about a year's time, I began to find that there were many people around the world that I knew that were doing things to help people reach their highest potential. So what I was inspired to do was start a team, the True Purpose team.
Okay.
And I lead the team, and what our mission is to continue forth with global True Purpose tours wherever we're called around the world, in country, communities, wherever we're guided or invited to come, we will come, and we do seminars and workshops and provide resources and tools for that community to reach its highest potential, or organization, businesses, etc. So I went to Africa because I was invited to Africa. I was invited to Africa to address the need of their people, the youth, as well as the adults, to inspire them and also to provide them education that would be transformational.
Yeah. Now, okay. In doing that, you know, I just heard an interesting story about well, I was going to say you need to hook up with Oprah and John Travolta, too, because I just heard a story the other day about, as a matter of fact, you know, Mr. Jones, he was telling me about all the philanthropic work that Oprah and John Travolta do together, and it's similar to your organization. When they find situations anywhere in the world that need their help, they fire up their jets, or John Travolta fires up his jets, and they take them out, and Oprah jumps in and they take them out, and people don't even know this is going on. Like people don't even know the things that you are doing going on, but there's so much good going on in the world that people are doing. So I applaud you for taking a stance, and there's no place, well, I'm not going to say there's no, but I can tell you we need you here in Detroit also. I know there's a lot of people, but in Africa, with some of the devastation that's going on in there, and the third world countries conditions that's going on there, what did you see, what did you expect, and what was the reality?
I expected it to be a catastrophe, something definitely not on our spectrum, our level of living, and I expect it to be that people were needy and, you know, just craving for us, and
they needed you.
Oh yeah, they needed me to come save the day.
Kind of like when the European brothers came over to the land with the Indians and came over, and they needed them because they didn't have a guide, they didn't have any type of culture built up. So
I thought they needed me. Captain will come in and save the day.
Save the day. Yeah, only you. Yeah. What did they do up to now?
You. Only me. So I came there, and of course, obviously, you know, my heart, I was expecting for my heart to just, be almost just so devastated, you know. I go there, and I went to Abuja, Nigeria, and I was asked to speak at a university of nearly 300 students. And as I remember driving through all of the crowds and the people, you know, make the marketers, the farmers making money on the sides of the road, and getting to the college grounds, and it's very muddy, and kids are walking with their book bags, and some people you see with the headband with food and baskets on their head.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking, now I get to the university. There's no air conditioning.
What's the temperature?
It's hot, and well, it wasn't. It was hot in there. It was actually more so hot in the auditorium than it was outside, because there were so many people there. Now, when I go in, I'm ready to speak. Oh, I'm fired up. I'm, you know, ready to give this empowerment speech that's going to change their way of thinking and being. And if you want to come to America because you know we've got that ticket, don't worry, you can do it.
You're right.
I had the message ready for them. And I go in there, go to the podium, and immediately the energy of confidence, and peace, and just courage was so strong that before I opened my mouth, I looked around at the host that had my marketing information to give to the students. And I'm quiet because I'm thinking, wow, I have never had this experience in America, or I've never. Wow. Where you can go and trust me, you can do very well helping folks that are depressed in America.
Yeah, absolutely. So many
when
of
you
us,
ask
yeah.
them about youth being depressed, or do they feel depression, you know what they say?
What?
They say, depressed for what?
That's what
Life
they
is
say?
good, yes. So I changed my speech, and I began to let them know, you have what we're trying to get, we're working on. So, and that was the mindset. That was the mindset. They had it. I said, that's what it takes. You know, that's what it takes.
And I don't want you to keep on going, but you know, that's okay. One thing about what we with the city council, you know, and their mission and what they're doing other than helping citizens, but with the channel is to bring hope to the citizens and the
Yes,
good.
yes.
And that's one thing that we're suffering from in Detroit more than anything else, that pride and that hope. And it sounds like even though they didn't have the good that we had, or the good things going on in Detroit, you know.
Well, that's another story, though, John. It's
I'm
not all
listening.
bad there.
Oh.
Oh, please. You may see, I think some people are maybe guilty in many cases sometimes of just capitalizing on what's not attractive to our eye.
Right.
Because it looks like it's poverty or they're people.
Right.
And guess what? It may be a person that's living in, you know, what equivalent to a $400,000 home right next to, outside there may be garbage that rolled over from the bin because they had some political issue, because there's a lot of politics over there. So maybe they just didn't pick up the trash that week because they had something going on, but it had nothing to do with the status. They don't stress about stuff like that.
Right.
I thought about that. You know, if my neighbor didn't do the grass, I'm thinking, hello. You know, I'm like, you know, 2 seconds from knocking on the door.
Right, right.
They don't
care.
care.
Stress about that. Yeah,
They
and
don't stress about
they
things like
really,
that.
and it sounds like they really value and know what's important in life.
Yes, they're thinking, the mindset, and that's what we want to do. Bountiful Opportunities Group in our youth development program is to empower and inspire transformation in the mind, to help children, parents, and teachers understand what it takes to even get out of the situation, to change your community around, is the mindset. And that's so key.
Yeah,
it's so critical.
And that takes us full circle back around to what you were saying at the beginning, that we decide and we change, and our mindset changes what we accomplish and where we need to go in life.
And when negative things come, that's what I want to invite people to do. Create a positive thought, the vision. Your vision, your words, and your thoughts must line up. So create that vision that you have of whatever it is. Write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Once you write it down, every day you can take a journey, a travel. If you want to move out of a particular house into another house, if you want to go into a business, that's fine. Create that vision. Allow yourself to see you there and embrace it. Close your eyes and inhale the presence of it. And then begin to be thankful for it every day, and just say, amen, and so it is. Say what it is. I am here, or I am there. I am in this experience. And then begin to escape there. Now, when the thoughts, now this is where the exercise comes. The thoughts will come and say, now you know you are wrong. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have. Okay, so when it comes and tells you where to go, you immediately, you say, cancel that. Go back to the vision that you created.
Amen.
and say, amen, and so it is. Right back at you, right? And
Right
so
back,
then
yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah.
and just make that null. After a while, do you keep talking to somebody that doesn't talk to you back?
No, no, you go on the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't either.
So you kill the beast. You kill the beast. Well,
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for coming out. I want to invite you, you know, because a lot of time I do these interviews, but I really need help doing these interviews, and especially with what makes you so successful, and you having a history of interviewing very powerful individuals. If you might grace our stage from time to time to invite some of those so we can change the mindset of Detroiters, or if not change the mindset, actually enlighten them and help them to remember how powerful they really are. So
Absolutely. I would love to.
if they want to know some of the things we talked about, the journey, if you will, your trip to Africa, just making it, and also, you know, your leadership, your inspirational leadership, and all the other things you do. The website, the phone number, if you could look right at that camera and let them know.
Thank you. Thank you, John. You can get in touch with me at bountifulgroup.com. That's bountifulgroup.com. Our telephone number is 1-877-888-7979. And also, you can visit me on Facebook, Dr. PrincessOdilia, and on Twitter, PrincessOdilia. Don't forget to get the book, Pregnant in the Spirit. It will help you along your journey, and you can get that Amazon.com, and also it's available worldwide.
Well, Dr. PrincessOdilia, I want to thank you very much for coming on our show and, you know, enlightening minds and inspiring hearts. And I want to thank you for all the work you're doing, not only in Detroit, but worldwide. And I want to help you. One of my goals that I wrote down is I do want to be part of the solution to help in homelessness in Detroit.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't know your story of being homeless, but I'm sure, and we'll have to talk about that in more depth, but I do want to help with that mission.
Absolutely.
All right, so thank you, and I want to thank you for joining us. I'm sure that you were inspired by Dr. PrincessOdilia and her story, and I want to extend to everybody in the audience, if you can, reach out and touch someone. I know that's the song, but help someone. You can find your path through helping others find their path. So thank you for watching us on What Makes You So Successful. If you have a story of success that you would like to share with Detroit, or you know somebody who has went through the trials and tribulations and rise to I don't want to say, well, great acclaim. And great acclaim means that to get past those obstacles and make it to your destiny, please give us a call at 313-224-4805. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next go around on What Makes You So Successful.